Sally Doty, Director of the Mississippi Office of Broadband Expansion and Accessibility, of course, the acronym of BEAM. We got to have an acronym. Anything related to technology, it's nothing but alphabet soup acronym. So appropriately, BEAM is our acronym. All right, how's it going there, Ms. Director? Is it going good?
It is going well. We are busy at the BEAM office.
I bet.
Mm-hmm. We have a grant that we hope to launch in the next couple of weeks. We got federal approval for it. It's been pending for quite some while. And so we hope in the next couple of weeks to have that application portal open and be ready to go.
$151.4 million, right?
It is. There's some additional money on top of that will be used for administration. There are a lot of guidelines and requirements that go around these federal dollars, as you can imagine. And we also are able to use some of that money for our office as well to fund our salaries and travel and different things. So when you shake all of that out, and then we have accountants and auditors and monitors that we are going to have throughout the life of the program. So it's really $162 million, but we're going to grant out about $152. We expect, hopefully, a little bit more.
All right, what's the process? You said the portal is about to open, and at that point, then carriers would apply, start the process?
Carriers or providers, if you want to call them, and we have already been in this process. So we have been running, our office has been running a map challenge for providers, and that is so important, is understanding where service is or is not in our state. And it's been so difficult to tell. There are federal maps that are out there, but that federal map is dependent on provider data. And then also they use satellite data. They just don't slice and dice it. It's always better, the more local you can be, the better, I think, the better data you can have. So we have been engaged in putting up our own Mississippi map. And then invited providers who may apply for CPF to participate and challenge anything we had on the map that they thought was wrong.
Okay.
And so I believe we had 200,000 challenges that we have worked through. Yeah. And, some of them were easy. Maybe there were some technical problems. But I think we're down to the last 24 challenges. And those are ones that are a little bit more difficult where, a provider says, oh, I have service here, but the map says, oh, no, you don't. The federal map says, no, you don't. And so we're working through those last few challenges. But we've been doing that over the past month or 6 weeks, and that's really taken a lot of time in addition to getting the application ready, getting the notice of funding opportunity ready to be prepared for when this money came out.
Yeah, so you'd almost have to map, and I use that as a task, map all the addresses that are in a provider's service area to all the addresses that have service.
Exactly.
And the gap would be where you have white space, essentially.
Yes, and so we've got a very easy to see, easy to use map that will allow you to do that. And in the past, all of these broadband funding programs, seems like we've been talking about broadband funding for a long time, but really haven't gotten to a point where everything is built out. But in the past, they used census block data. So if one location in the census block or two were served, the entire block was seen as served.
I see.
And so that created some distortions on the federal map. So the federal map now, they have changed to only location data, address data, and that's how we started out our map. So, first you got to make sure you have your addresses. Are all the addresses on the map? And then once you have all your addresses, where is served and where is unserved? And then something that has become very important is, where is there already federal funding attached to an address?
Okay.
And, Mississippi, we did really well in the RDOF auction, the Rural Development Opportunity Fund. It was back in 2021, I believe, 2020, 21. It was kind of a process. There was an auction, and they had to be approved. But if there is either USDA Reconnect money, RDOF money attached to a location, then we cannot provide additional federal funding.
Sure.
And so we've had to work through some of that, and we've had to reflect that on our map. And so it's more complicated than it sounds, perhaps.
is or are the maps, I don't know how many there are they accessible to the public?
They are. They're on our broadbandms.com website. That is a website that we have up where anyone can go and check their speed of the service that they have. So I'm going to say that again because we would love you to go from your home, from your residence. Doesn't do any good if you're in your car driving down the road. From your residence, get as close to your router as possible and go to broadbandms.com. It's over there. There's a tab that says for ISPs, and there's the map under that. So anybody can look at it right now, but it's not necessarily a public-facing map because we're still refining it and getting everything worked out.
Yeah, so I made the mistake. It's from my business career of referring to them as carriers. All internet service providers are not necessarily carriers, telecom carriers.
True.
And so there's a little bit of a delta there. And in this case, in the case of rural broadband, in fact, most aren't. Right? They're the electric co-ops that are primarily in the electricity providing business. But because they have this egress and the physical access and so forth, it makes sense for them to provide internet access, and they've got the means to do that. Leads me to my question is, how is participation amongst, we have, 24, 25 ECAs, I believe?
25. I believe we have 25 co-ops, and my understanding is 17 are building out.
Okay.
14 received money in CARES Act funding. That was back in 2020. I was at the Mississippi Public Utilities staff, and there was $75 million in CARES Act money that was provided mainly for our co-ops to do build out. And so we have good participation around the state, not as, and it's different. What I've learned is, every co-op is different. They really are. And a lot of them in North Mississippi are one county, maybe two counties. In Southwest Mississippi, it's 6 counties. 10 counties, so it's, it's different when you're looking at a broadband project for $30 million or if you're looking at, $130 million. Mm-hmm. And so I think co-ops make decisions based on their electric grid and their customers and what's right for them. So we do have some who are not participating. There are other carriers who can come in and just like regular landline telephone, they use their poles and their pole attachment fees. Yeah. And so we look for some of those areas to get built out. The issue of prior federal funding is a little bit sticky, especially down in Southwest Mississippi. We have an area that has a large amount of prior federal funding. And so that is not being built out just yet by that provider. So that's causing a little bit of angst down there in Southwest Mississippi, and we're trying to work that out.
What else do you have to report? That's a big deal there, of course. So I know that's the primary focus, and I guess one question I would have is so you have 17 of 25. Do the fact that these other 8 are not participating, not participating mean we may have white space we can't get to, can't light up, or some telecom carriers may be picking up the slack?
Yeah, other carriers are picking up that.
Okay.
Other providers, and there are, there's smaller providers, there's cable providers, there are all kinds of providers out there that are going to pick up that slack. And it is our mandate, not necessarily with CPF, the Capital Projects Fund, which is the one that's about to go out the door, because it's only, like I said, it's only $150 million or so. We hope to get 35,000 passings with that, 35,000 locations. We have about 300,000 locations that are unserved right now, and so that takes us down a little bit. There's some other existing projects that takes us a little bit, but we got a couple of 100,000 projects that then will be addressed by BEAD, which is another federal grant that is coming out. We do not yet know our allocation for the BEAD funding. It's a very large federal endeavor. I think there was almost $44 billion put in that fund, and each state receives their allocation based on your number of unserved and underserved locations.
Okay.
So we will know what that amount is June 30th.
Gotcha.
June 30th. Drum roll till then.
Wow. Well, I would think we'd be in pretty good shape there, honestly.
think we are. With our numbers, there are
Yeah.
many states who have a better area of service than we do. So we're looking to get a pretty big hit there.
Appreciate you coming in and giving us an update today, Sally. Sally Doty, Director of the Mississippi Office of Broadband Expansion and Accessibility, a.k.a. BEAM. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.
We're coming right back with more here in the Element Wealth Studios. Please stay with us.